Hello. Happy September. Happy Labor Day. Happy lots of things. We are moving through this 2024 so quickly. So, hopefully, you're all doing well, and some of you have off, and I'm glad you're joining me. But I really today want to talk about three quick tips to reverse exhaustion and keep going. I know we're in the last half of the year. We're in the last quarter of the year. We are moving through. Are we really in the last quarter? September? Nope, not yet. We're almost in the last quarter. But it's been a couple of years that have been tough on a lot of people. There's a lot of frustration. There's a lot of things going on right now with the elections coming up and kids back to school and all the things. And there's a level of exhaustion and fatigue in a different way that's hitting a lot of us right now. And we have a lot of clients that are people or new clients that are coming to us with this exact issue. So the problem is their resilience is low, they're out of extra resources, and they're just pushing through. So what I want to talk about is how you can stop the exhaustion so that you can keep going, but not in a way where you're pushing through and you're causing more problems. A lot of us learned how to suck it up and walk it off, white knuckle through, keep going, and it served us to a point. But unfortunately, what's been happening is that your backup resources have been getting depleted as you push through. And yes, you may be able to make it through, the next big event, or the kids going back to school, or the graduation ceremonies, or the weddings, or the things that are going on in your life. But what's happening is you're not replenishing those resources. So the next time you go to the coffers to get the extra resources, they're not there for you. So as you continue to get older and continue to replay this pattern of utilizing resources and then emptying them to the point where you're not replacing them, you're starting to then burn energy and burn resources that are then depleting you and hurting you. So now you're pulling from sources that you need to just function daily, not the ones that you need when you have an extra special boost that you need in that particular day or that week. And if this happens over time, then you're going to be depleting yourself to the point where you end up causing hormone imbalance. You end up with thyroid disorder. You end up with an exhaustion level that you can't get up over on, right? This is when you start seeing migraines and pain, and you start seeing swelling, or you start seeing digestive issues, and you start to struggle a little bit more. You start to see hair loss, skin issues. So these symptoms are signs that you've depleted your resources to the point where it's now pulling from the everyday needs that your body has in order to function properly. So let's talk about what you can do about that, okay? So 3 quick tips, and I'm going to go for the easiest ones that will not only help you to kind of get that energy back, but also help you not overdraw from the resources that you have that are waiting for extra special moments. And the extra special moments shouldn't be happening all the time. They should be only when there's a super special thing going on right now or this week. That shouldn't be replaying it all day long. So first, I want to take you into a particular tool that I use with clients to get them into the moment quickly. And when I say into the moment, what happens is one of the things that will use your resources quickly is when you're replaying past events or you're replaying future events that haven't even happened yet in a process of trying to prepare for them, or you're stuck in kind of a PTSD pattern. When we utilize our resources emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually on past events, replaying them, trying to figure out what we did wrong or trying to avoid them for the future, or we're playing into events that haven't even happened yet, worried, concerned, anxious. This is taking away resources from now. So a really quick, fast way to adjust that is to take yourself into the moment of now. When you're replaying for the past or replaying into the future, you're not in this now moment. So your body actually can't get adjusted properly because it's living a timeline that isn't now. So the fastest way you can do that is to get to a sensory experience. So stop where you are and do this with me because this takes just moments. Take a deep breath in Close your eyes because it actually helps you to disassociate from what you're seeing right now. It gets you into this grounded moment internally. Close your eyes, breathe in through your nose. And as you're breathing in through your nose, I want you to fill yourself up. And as you exhale, I want you to think, what do I smell? What do I hear? What am I even tasting? Like, what's on your tongue? What do I feel? Physically, what sensory experience am I having? Now, what this does very quickly is it puts your body into a position, into an experience where it gets back into this now moment. What am I experiencing now? What am I experiencing this moment? Not a future moment, not a past moment, but this moment. And it starts to regulate your central nervous system. Because when the central nervous system is ramped up, trying to fix something in the past that it can't change, or it's trying to live into the future of a moment, trying to fix it in a way so that you're safe, that will push you backwards into a depressed state or push you forward into an anxious state. When your body's into a depressed or anxious state, it can't get into this moment. It's in a dysregulated moment. By coming into a sensory experience in this moment, it puts your body back at ease in a way that says, I'm actually safe right now. Because I'm experiencing, what's the temperature right now? Is it hot? Is it cold? What do I feel? What do I sense? What do I hear? And even if you can only do that for 30 seconds, it will re-regulate your system. And when your system is re-regulated, it stops pulling from resources that you need to function. All right, so the first thing is getting into the moment. And I wanted you to understand why that's important, because a lot of people will do things where they'll go and they'll meditate or they'll go to a yoga session, but they don't fully get into the moment because they're not actually recognizing the sensory experience. And they say, oh, well, meditation doesn't work for me. Like, when you understand what's trying to happen or what your body's trying to do or what the real goal of that is to get into a regulated state, get into a now moment, you can quickly put yourself into that position. But if you go do yoga or meditate for an hour and then you get out of it, and the second you're out of it, you are dysregulated, that means that full moment, you're not now in this moment. You're running off to either a past memory or a future fear to try to fix it before it becomes a thing. So this now moment is where we can regulate. All right, so getting into the moment. The second thing is to make sure that you are getting enough water. And I want to play that out a little bit because it sounds easier than it is for a lot of people. So I want to show you how to get enough water. It's not just drinking enough water. It's making sure that you're not depleting yourself and you're absorbing the water that you are drinking. So making sure you're drinking at least, so the standard is 8 cups of water, right? So 64 ounces, but for most people, it's usually 70 or 80 ounces. So somewhere around there. You're drinking that during the day. Now, here's a couple of things you want to pay attention to. First, I want you to get at least 12 of those ounces as soon as you wake up. Most of us, especially those of us who live in drier climates, most of us are dehydrated when we wake up, whether you realize it or not. So getting that water onto your stomach as soon as you wake up will help you start to regulate your system quickly. So at least 12 ounces of water, not coffee, not tea, not anything else, water on your system, in your system, as soon as you wake up. And to make sure you're getting it throughout the day. Now, if you are someone who likes to drink things with caffeine in it, or you like to drink a lot of juices, they're actually diuretics. And what that means is your body isn't able to absorb the water in it before it starts to try to get rid of that water. So it starts chasing water out of your system. So I want you to make sure that if you are drinking caffeine or juices during the day, so this includes coffee, it includes tea, even green tea, white tea, black tea, all of the teas, unless it is a naturally uncaffeinated tea. Right? Not decaffeinated because there's still some caffeine in there. Naturally, so an herbal tea, they help to absorb into the system. Anything with any level of caffeine, even something that's considered decaffeinated, still has a level of caffeine to it. It'll actually try and chase the water out of your system and you won't absorb it. So if you're not doing at least 64 ounces of water, then you're in trouble. If you're doing that, but then you're doing caffeine related foods or drinks and or foods actually, and you're doing anything that's a tea that isn't naturally caffeine free, you may be chasing all of that water out of your system. So you need even more water into your system. The other thing to look at for water is wherever salt goes is where water flows. So if you don't have a nice balance of sodium in your system, then you're actually going to be depleting yourself or won't be able to absorb what's going into your system. So if you make your own food, you're not eating fast food, you're not eating pre-prepared foods, you're not eating pre-prepared frozen foods, you're making your own foods. I want you to make sure that you're adding some sea salt, which is the best, sea salt, Celtic salt, a little bit to the water that you are drinking during the day. It'll have a little bit of nice flavor to it, but it'll also help you to absorb the water that you're drinking. So I wanted you to make sure you're getting enough water, because we have lots of people who come to us and say, we're drinking plenty of water. Look at this jug that I carry around with me all day long. But then we also realize that they're doing things that are also depleting their system of water. Also, if you're working out, if you're doing any level of detox, if you're doing saunas, things like that, where you're sweating a lot, that's really good to help flow in your system. Make sure you are replenishing that water when you're doing that. And then the third thing, so the first thing is getting into the moment. The second thing is making sure you're getting water and you're absorbing it. The third thing is making sure that you look at your calendar and you get very real with yourself. Do I actually need to be doing all of the things that I'm doing? And some of you are now frustrated because you're like, oh, that's too easy. Or frankly, that's too hard. I have to do all of these things. And I want you to get real with yourself. Do you really? Often there's a wounded child, we call them wounded children. There's often a trauma response going on when your calendar is super full and you are somebody who's like, oh, you don't even know how busy I am and I have all the things. When we're super busy, a lot of it is one, keeping us busy because we don't want them, we don't have to deal with our stuff. And when we're busy and we feel fulfilled sometimes, but we're depleting our resources, right? We're not being true to who we really are. We're saying yes to too many things. We haven't learned how to say no. No is a complete sentence. And if you live in the United States especially, live in a society where busy is something we strive towards. It's like a badge of honor that we wear. We don't take vacations in the United States. I had a woman tell me last week that she works for a company where she gets 6 weeks of paid vacation. 6 weeks of paid vacation. She said it was a use it or lose it situation. At the end of the year, she was forcing herself to take this vacation, and she was frustrated by it. And at this point, if you're in a situation where you can't find time to take the vacation, and I don't necessarily mean you need to go to Europe or you need to go on some crazy vacation, you're not finding time for yourself, your body is going to reject that. It's going to come back at you. It's going to have a dysregulated central nervous system response. We need downtime on purpose. It's why you see a lot of athletes who overtrain get hurt because they're not giving their bodies time to repair and to rest, which is very much a big part of the process and being strong and healthy. We need to do the same thing emotionally and mentally and spiritually as well. So when you look at your calendar, I want you to ask yourself, do I actually have to do this? And if the answer is it has to get done, then I want you to ask, do I have to be the one that gets it done? Some of you are just really not good at asking for help because there's a wound, there's a trauma response that happens when you ask for help. You feel like you've asked for help before and you didn't get it the way you needed it, or you just feel like asking for help makes you feel weak. There's some sort of trauma response in there. Or you feel if you are not the one doing it, it's not going to get done right. There's a perfectionism kind of syndrome thing going on in there. There's an issue of Florence Nightingale. I have to be the one that does it all and fixes all the things for all the people. But one of the best skills I have ever seen for someone who is overwrought and overstressed is to learn, and it's a skill to learn, how to delegate. How to ask for help, how to delegate out what it is that you need done, how to pay someone else to do it, how to get the family to help you do it. Get your friends, get coworkers, get your boss to realize you've got more going on than he realizes. But when you look at your calendar, I want you to really be very clear and very serious with yourself, very raw. Do I actually have to be the one doing all this? What we have found for most of our clients when they come in with these busy, busy, busy schedules is that it's so much of a trauma response to have that schedule filled for so many layered reasons. When you work on that trauma response and you clear that trauma response, suddenly the calendar becomes the easiest thing for you to manage. And you're not overdoing things. You are getting enough sleep. You are actually having time for yourself. You are giving yourself the moments and the repair and the rest time your body needs in order to not be so depleted that it's pulling from resources that you need just to function. So I will challenge you to look at your calendars and start asking yourself, do I actually need to be the one doing this thing? Does this thing actually need to happen? And does this thing actually need to happen at this point in time? Because if the answer is yes, 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 of course it is, there is something else going on that would be what I would challenge you to see as more of a trauma issue or trauma response, an underlying belief system that needs to get dissolved or reworked or repositioned or challenged. All right, so the 3 quick tips: getting into the moment, getting to that sensory experience, bring yourself into this moment, not running into the past trying to fix things you can't do anything about, or running into the future, living a timeline that hasn't even existed yet. The second thing is getting enough absorbable water opportunities through the day so that your body has the resources it needs to detox on its own, to function, and to work the systems in the body that need the water to be absorbed properly. And number 3, to look at your calendar and really challenge yourself. Do I need to be the one doing all of this? Do I need to do it now? And maybe there's a skill or 2 that I can learn to better delegate and ask for help. Otherwise, there's a trauma response going on somewhere that would be best to start looking at as something that you want to start working on and dissolve as a whole, so that the idea of being busy doesn't keep you in a state of trauma. All right, so deep breath. There's your quick tips for today to reverse exhaustion so you can keep going, but keep going in a healthy way, not just push through in that frantic, keep it going, walk it off kind of state. All right, well, you have a good rest of your holiday weekend, long weekend, and I will see you next Monday. Oh, one more thing. Silly me. Didn't think to tell you about this, but I'll tell you about it now because it just became live. We just released our next event, and it's going to be an in-person event in Scottsdale. I am so excited about this. I'm bringing in-person events back. So you can go to nourish123challenge.com for the details. It's a 2-day event. It's an immersive experiential event that you have to be there to experience. We are not doing this one online. There are things I'm going to be doing that it just wouldn't translate online. So it's going to be all day, 10 to 4 on the 25th, 10 to 4 on the 26th. It's a Friday, Saturday in Scottsdale. We have limited space and we already have tickets that have been flying out the door. So I only have some spaces left and we're not even 2 months into or 2 months away from it. But go to nourish123challenge.com. It's specifically designed for high achieving women who really just don't have the luxury of burning out. So if you feel like you're teetering on the edge, you feel like you want better skills, better tools, a better way of understanding how to get yourself into a really resourceful, resilient space where you want to eliminate, things like thyroid issues. You want to eliminate frustration, digestive challenges, pain, imbalances with hormones. And you find you're starting to teeter into the edge of, wait a minute, this doesn't work. I'm taking medication to try to fix this at this point. It's getting worse and I don't know why. The frustration levels that you have just in general are a little bit higher. Then this is the event that you really want to look at. And again, it's going to be in person with me for 2 full days, the 25th and 6th in Scottsdale, Arizona. All of the details are on that landing page. Once you register for the event, you will then have access to a page that gives you ideas on what you can do while you're in town. If you're coming from out of town, we have several people flying in for the event, and what to do and where to go and all of the things. I will also be feeding you through those 2 days. I will make sure that you are getting lunch on that Friday and Saturday. It will be gluten-free and dairy-free and egg-free and all the good things free. We have a chef coming in to do all of the food. So it's going to be a very experiential event from that. that. But I'm super wildly excited about doing this because I used to do events in person all the time, and they were successful and awesome and so much fun. And then COVID kind of spun that out a little bit. We really haven't come back to the full in-person events again that weren't just smaller retreats for our clients. So this is open to everyone. It's not just clients. It's for people really who haven't gotten the opportunity to really experience what it's like to work with us. So go to the page, go to nourish123challenge.com. The tickets are finally available. We started a couple days ago letting people know, and the tickets are already flying out the door. So I really want you to be there, and I want you to get a ticket. So go to nourish123.com. nourish123challenge.com and grab yours before they're gone. Very, very limited space on this. So, all right. Well, you have a good rest of your Labor Day long weekend, and I will see you next Monday.